creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Find or to seek out the Ark of the Covenant. I think that was his primary mission. Graham Hancock wrote a really good book called The Sign and the Seal, where he talks about the Ark of the Covenant being probably concealed in Ethiopia at the Church of St. Mary, I believe that the Ark of the Covenant was in fact in Ethiopian Axum as well. There's a very strong indication that is in fact where it is.
This is a good episode, by the way.
There's giants that had babies with humans.
Nephilim, right?
Yeah, the Nephilim, yeah. And they're mentioned in the Bible, too. So you can't say, like, oh, that's not real. That was just a fable.
You think they're still around?
Oh, yeah. Look at NBA players. They are extremely tall. And they found giant bones that are 7 foot to 12 foot tall.
There's been military people.
Afghanistan, yeah. They said they fought a giant in Kandahar, I believe it was, in the caves. They said it had red hair, double rows of teeth. That matches exactly to what the Paiute Indian tribes say in Lovelock, Nevada. There's a cave in Lovelock, Nevada that has a giant handprint on it. They had this story, it's called the Sitka. The Paiute say they trapped these giants inside of a cave after they had terrorized them for so long, trapped them in there and then set the cave on fire. And then in like 1930, they found bat guano in there. So they excavated the cave and found shoes that were made for giants, giant handprints, and then they actually found giant bones in there. They were supposedly sent to the Smithsonian, but they have disappeared.
You know, how did the giants fit into this human women?
Has anyone ever seen the south coast of Antarctica? No one.
No.
Yeah. And so that's a mystery of itself. Like, no one's ever been to the south coast of Antarctica. But as the ice capsules are melting, and I'm not making a comment on global warming here or not, but like, because that can be controversial, but as the ice capsulages are melting, it's revealing a lot. So they found these two kayakers that were kayaking in Antarctica. They wanted to be the first to kayak through a river that opened up. They came across these massive statues. I posted a video on this. These massive statues that have been under the ice for all these years. The crazy thing is they're like, are these Greek? Are these Roman? Or are these Egyptian? So it looks like ancient civilizations had a connection to Antarctica. And for sure, the world governances are hiding stuff there.
So what did they establish it is? Is it Egyptian? Is it Roman? Like, what is it?
We think it's Roman.
They think it's Roman.
We think it's Roman. Like, the Egyptians traveled more of the world than we think. And so most stuff we come across is Egyptian. But this one was Roman.
Also, I heard that when you fly over Antarctica, and obviously I don't know, I'm just hearing all these stories, but I keep hearing about this story that there's a big hole.
Yeah.
Is that real or not real?
I think it has something to do with the south coast of Antarctica. So, I'm trying to get down there ASAP, but as I mentioned, I'm just so busy. Like, I don't even, I don't want to repeat, I don't have time to whistle. I'm just so busy.
What do we have? Any legit photos or videos?
Any of these water cribs, this is one in Chicago. You see it has a little lighthouse / mooring station right there, ready to go. And I believe, that's just another perfect example of it. Look at that. This is a water tower. This is a water tower. Not, I went to Chicago recently, and the Chicago water tower, one of the more famous ones, it's one of the only surviving buildings, another water tower here, only surviving buildings of the Great Fire in that area. And they even tell you when you
look at that. They've still got the kit on it. Like, the Antiquitech is still there.
Exactly. And they were just, pioneering these all across the country, right? All across the world, these water towers. And when you look at water towers today, they're just ugly metal shells with, tubs on the top. Nothing like anything they built today. The Chicago water tower, this is another one of those water cribs here in the city of Chicago. Look how far away that is from the lake shore. Miles. And this was just built in a time where, again, they had no heavy machinery to build or maneuver this equipment into place. And it's just way, in my opinion, beyond their times. And look at that.
Oh, wow.
All of these are just water towers, just supposedly water towers. It's another one. This is in, I think this is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is the original 2 mile. Yeah, look at that. The 2 mile.
Well, that looks like Wardenclyffe.
1867. Yes, it does, doesn't it? That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. And like,
So
that
that's
doesn't even have a lighthouse on top. That looks like a perfect little like docking spot, and you just lower the materials right into place. I wonder what kind of building is right on top there. Kind of looks out of place, but
that's
that's one of the original.
All built during horse and buggy era, by the way.
Walked to the woodcutter's body, grabbed both legs, dragged it to the window, and dropped it out. He went to the back door, unbolted it, and walked out into the yard. Full moon, crickets, the sound of waterfall somewhere far off. But from inside the tree line, he heard voices, quiet and low. So Kaido walked toward them. He moved through the shadows until he found a good tree to hide behind and looked out. 5 heads floating in the moonlight, having a conversation. And every so often, one of them would snatch an insect out of the air or off the ground and eat it. Kaido didn't make a sound. After a moment, the woodcutter's head stopped and said, "That monk tonight, nice and plump. If we eat him, we will be full for days." One of the others asked, "So why haven't we yet?" "Because I said something stupid," the woodcutter's head replied, sounding annoyed at himself. "I asked him to recite sutras for us, so now he's been praying all night, and you can't touch someone while they're in the middle of a prayer." "But it's almost dawn. He's got to be asleep by now. Someone go check." The head of a young woman launched upward and flew toward the house. Kaido stayed still. He waited. She came back fast, and her voice was shaking. "The monk isn't in his room. He's gone. And, my lord, your body isn't there either." Silence. The woodcutter's head just froze. Then his eyes went wide, hair standing up, teeth grinding together. Then something broken came out of him. "If my body's been moved, I can't get back to it. I'm going to die." And he was crying, but it wasn't sadness. It was pure rage. "That monk did this. Before I die, I'm going to find him and rip him apart." Then the head turned and looked straight at the shadow where Kaido was standing. "Right there, behind that tree." Kaido walked out. The woodcutter screamed, "Come on then, you fat coward monk." All 5 heads flew at him at once. Kaido reached down, yanked a young tree right out of the ground by the roots, and got into his stance. Knocked them away one by one. Clean and hard swings. 4 of them hit the ground screaming and disappeared into the dark. But the woodcutter's head wouldn't stop. Every time Kaido knocked it back, it came back harder. It was dying, and it knew it, and that made it worse. And then finally it got its teeth into Kaido's left sleeve and locked down. Kaido grabbed it by the top knot and slammed it into the ground. There was a long groan, then nothing. He was dead.
Man, awesome. You know, the story and her storytelling skills.
In 1992, farmers in eastern China tried to drain what they thought were 4 bottomless ponds. Instead, they emptied out one of the strangest sights on Earth, the Longyu Caves, 24 enormous chambers, carved by hand into solid siltstone, some the size of a cathedral, hidden underwater for centuries. Nearly 1 million cubic meters of rock were cut out and carried away. And here is the first mystery. That much stone should leave a mountain of debris somewhere nearby. It has never been found. China kept some of the most detailed written records of any ancient people. Tax rolls, census, legends. Not one document mentions who dug these, when, or why. The chambers sit right next to each other, separated by walls as thin as a half-meter, each carved on its own, and not once did anyone break through by accident. Someone was surveying with precision underground in total darkness. Every surface carries the same parallel chisel marks, but there is no soot on the ceilings from any lamp. Who carves a cathedral in the dark and erases every trace of themselves?
Recently, I noticed everybody carrying these giant water bottles everywhere, but nobody was this thirsty 30 years ago. Why is everybody so thirsty? I assumed we just got smarter about hydration, right? On the surface, that does make sense, but the data actually tells a different story. They looked at how ultra-processed foods affect the body's thirst signaling, and what they found every single time is that if you eat something heavily processed, your blood becomes too concentrated. Your body fires a hormone called vasopressin to dilute it, and your mouth literally goes dry. As long as you keep eating processed food, that signal never resolves. You're not thirsty because you're not drinking enough. You're thirsty because your body is perpetually trying to dilute everything that you're actually eating. Your grandparents didn't carry water because they ate their hydration. Cucumbers are 96% water. Whole foods, watermelon, celery, strawberries are living water delivery systems. Previous generations got a significant portion of their daily fluids from food alone and without thinking about it once. Now we eat dry, shelf-stable, processed food and wonder why we're always thirsty. Your body doesn't need more water. It just needs a reason to hold on to it. I'm Drew Canoli, and we're in this together.
You know, I've noticed by adding Celtic salt to my water, I don't get thirsty so often.
This is everything that just happened on the news today, but I'm going to simplify it for you in 60 seconds. U.S. gas prices have now officially surpassed an average of $4 per gallon for the first time since 2022 today. Okay. So basically, according to AAA, the national average for regular gas is now $4.02, which is over $1 more than it was. So that's fun for all of us. The US government just launched their website called aliens.gov to release all of their UFO files to the public. Whoa! Basically, the Pentagon is publishing every single UAP record that they have and built an entire website to show it. And dude, what is craziest about this entire thing coming out right now is that there's literally a market on Kalshi right now where people are betting real money. The market is whether or not the US is going to officially confirm that aliens exist by the end of 2026, and the amount of money on it right now is insane. Gucci is now selling diapers for $490 per pack. They're literally just diapers, but they're luxurious diapers for babies. That's it. The full pink moon, if you haven't heard about it yet, is happening tonight. This is actually the 4th full moon of 2026, and the Artemis 2 moon launch, where they're literally going to send humans to the moon, is also happening tonight. I am going to be streaming the entire moon launch on my page tonight, so you need to make sure you go ahead and add me now so you can come back and watch it with us. In Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, locals have been electing dogs as honorary mayors for years. Okay. So they're saying that they pick the winner through fundraising votes, and the dogs don't actually run the town, but they've become a whole thing. With the way that everything is running right now, maybe we should give them a chance.
Yep. Hey, Gucci for diapers is crazy though.
Testament, and you see Peter referencing the angels who sinned, and as a result are chained in the gloomy abyss, Tartarus. Takes verbatim from the book of Enoch. He copies and pastes into his epistle a few verses straight out of First Enoch. It comes from the book of the Watchers. And the book of the Watchers in First Enoch is the story of the descent of these beings, of these heavenly beings, these celestial beings.
Temples are not for beginners at all. And this one may be the biggest antenna in the entire world.
This one in Indonesia, by the way.
This is Prambanan, and this is what it looks like from the top down.
Yep.
We're going to look at this Shiva temple. Now, the layout looks a lot like that thing, and if you don't know what it is the antenna on the cone of a fighter jet. Now, these are smaller cone antennas. If you look at a cross-section of the Shiva temple, then you'll notice something very strange. Both the interior chambers and the exterior features share design cues from this modern antenna. The design is called the corbelled arch. You can see it in a lot of ancient temples, including the Grand Gallery and the Great Pyramid and a lot of Mayan architecture. We use that design as a waveguide to focus a specific band of frequency. That is the core function of an antenna. Now, Borobudur also shares this corbelled arch, as well as another feature with Prambanan, these satellite features within the complex. And now, I initially thought those looked like a CPU, but now if you overlay a sine wave from the top of the temple to the bottom of the temple, every harmonic of that sine wave converges at the top of the main chamber. Now, the amplitude of that sine wave defines the boundary of the last two cones in the temple. Now, a phase array is another form of beam focusing. Your cell phone uses something similar. Now, if your main temple is the main frequency, then those satellite features could be directing it. Now, that graph is a frequency spectrum of an aligned phase array. That is the circuit diagram for it. Now, if our small modern antennas are allowing us to communicate with the whole planet, what is that communicating with? That stuff keeps me up at night and gets me up in the morning. We need more minds on this. If you learn their methodology and pair it with our technology, maybe we can make a dent at solving this problem. That sounds like you. Hit that link up there, get caught up, and let's figure this out.
Been there. Spectacular. It's only a few hours from my mom's house.
What if there was a lost, advanced civilization before us, and we've been slowly rediscovering their technology? We're told the United States begins in 1776. Just 16 years later, we have the stock market. Then suddenly, within a relatively short period of history, humanity begins developing trains, engines, airplanes, electricity, telephones, and eventually computers. But according to one theory, we didn't invent these technologies. We rediscovered them. Then look at Australia. We're told the modern nation of Australia officially comes into existence in 1901. Yet across Australia you can find massive old-world buildings and architecture that appear far more elaborate than what many people imagine such a young country should have been constructing. And Australia isn't alone. Across the world are enormous stone buildings supposedly built hundreds of years ago with limited technology, yet so elaborate that we rarely recreate anything like them today. Then, strangely, many of these buildings were later destroyed by fires. What if these weren't simply old buildings, but remnants of the civilization that came before us? And what if they left behind more than architecture? Maybe the train, the airplane, electricity, and even technologies we're discovering today aren't entirely new. Maybe we're slowly being given back technology that humanity once had, before something erased the civilization that created it.
Mankind is becoming conscious again. This is why the lies we were fed are no longer working.
This may be the most mind-bending article I have ever found. In 1876, scientists claimed they found a way to unlock superhuman abilities through prolonged exposure of blue light. Wonders of blue light. Females 7 years of age developed into full-grown women. Thought becoming apparent. And this isn't just one man's crazy theory. These experiments were going on across America and Europe. And the names that are dropped in this article have some real historical weight. General Pleasanton, okay, he was doing blue light greenhouse experiments, and then Dr. Ponza was placing patients inside colored rooms. Then a gentleman by the name of Professor Jivanan turned his whole house into a controlled blue light experiment. He replaced portions of the windows and his skylight in the house with blue glass. Now, this is where the experiment gets a little weird. I have some more questions, but I'm probably not going to get answers. He brought 2 Moorish twins, it says, into his house to live with him for 3 years. At first, the blue light made them very uncomfortable and restless. So the professor started to darken the blue until they became adjusted. And then it says, the results were extraordinary. By the age of 7, the twins were said to be fully grown women with mental abilities just as remarkable. They supposedly mastered ordinary education at incredible speed, solved advanced mathematics with ease, spoke Latin and Greek like their native language, and understood complicated astronomical calculations almost naturally. Yo, what's up, dude? Do you have any of that blue light? One of the twins developed what the professor called supernatural vision. She knew what people were doing from far away and could read handwriting or printed words in the other room or even through the ceiling above her, as though the walls were transparent. The professor claimed he tested this ability 1,000 times. But it wasn't just the twins. The professor endowed with a physical power that was absolutely tremendous. The blue light exercised a peculiar influence upon the nervous system. It established a sympathetic relation between his own organism and the vast world of unorganized matter. The professor then could move things with his mind, telekinesis. He said articles thousands of pounds in weight rose like feathers and were poised in the air. One of the Moorish twins stroked a spaniel on the head and it suddenly expired as if struck by lightning. Poor dog. The 2 twins then could look at physical objects and see emanations coming off of it. The invisible energy we all know is there. They say the spiritual regions around us is densely occupied by sentient things. The air is full of strangely formed existence. They said that they were exchanging thoughts like electrical currents through a telegraph line. Believe it or not, but findings like this should really remind us all that we know nothing about the world that we live in. Love y'all and have a good day.
The flower that kills wolves was said to be born from the mouth of hell. Welcome to The Poison Path, a series where we explore poisonous plants in magic, history, and folklore. Let's talk about wolfsbane. Also called monk's hood or aconite, wolfsbane grows in cold, damp mountain places. Its flowers are purple and hooded, but beneath that holy shape lives a violent poison. Its alkaloids disturb the nerves and the rhythm of the heart. It can numb the body before it destroys it. But mythology gave it a stranger origin. In Ovid's Metamorphoses, aconite comes from the poison foam of Cerberus, the hound of the underworld, when Heracles dragged him into the light. Where the hellhound's venom touched the earth, the flower grew. Some sources place aconite in the hands of Hecate herself, as a poison discovered by the goddess of night, witchcraft, and the threshold. And in later European witch lore, ointments connected to flight sometimes included aconite, placing wolfsbane among the herbs of altered perception and monstrous becoming. So wolfsbane is not just a werewolf flower. It is the hellhound's venom, Hecate's poison, the mountain's curse, and the purple gate between body, beast, and underworld.
Here's some terrifying footage from one of the most horrific flood disasters imaginable. After catastrophic flooding struck southern China in July of 2026, a snake breeding farm was destroyed, releasing about 900 snakes, including venomous cobras and kraits, into nearby villages. As residents waded through chest-deep floodwater, authorities warned that deadly snakes could be hiding just beneath the surface. Hospitals rushed to stock with antivenom, emergency teams were deployed to hunt the escaped reptiles, and several people were reportedly bitten while clearing flood debris. The flooding itself killed at least 39 people and forced 130,000 residents to evacuate. That is horrible. What the f...
Man, look at that.
Big dumb giants
like
from
that.
Disney movies when we were growing up, bashing each other over the head with clubs. These were exceptionally intelligent beings. Taught them and their wives. They instructed them in their knowledge. So they were receiving, it's probably in possession of what I would describe as advanced technology, maybe even advanced aerospace technology, which I do believe existed in the antediluvian world. I think that's how the Watchers got to the summit of Mount Hermon, by the way, at the helms of advanced aerospace vehicles, what we would describe today as UFOs. The Watchers, the giants go to war with each other. I believe this is a technological war.
This episode of Fear Factor was so controversial that it was not allowed to air and ended up getting the show canceled. This is the donkey semen controversy. I know, what? Fear Factor had contestants eat bugs, animal organs, all sorts of disgusting things. But there was one stunt that was so controversial that it reportedly ended up getting the show canceled. In 2012, contestants were told that they had to drink an entire glass of donkey semen followed by donkey urine in order to advance to the next round. And somehow it gets worse. Hi, I'm Grace. Can I be your horror girlie? The contestants claimed that the liquids had been sitting out in the hot sun all day, making it even more disgusting. Like, imagine that smell. Before the episode could air, the details leaked online and the backlash was immediate. Man. Viewers were horrified, advocacy groups were speaking out, and advertisers reportedly threatened to pull their commercials. Just hours before that episode was supposed to air, NBC pulled it from the schedule and replaced it with a rerun. According to reports, the network threatened legal action after the contestants had spoken out publicly about what was going on behind the scenes. The episode never aired on US television, but it did eventually surface online and in international markets. Do you think that they crossed the line here, or do you think this is what they sign up for when they go on Fear Factor?
Man, that is beyond.
Welcome to part 2 of men in Hollywood who like to wear pearl necklaces. It seems some of you in the comment section just didn't get my hints. Well, this video will be much more straightforward. And again, it very well could be just a fashion trend. But if we know anything about Hollywood, there's a deeper meaning behind everything that they do. Number 1, Jason Momoa. Another one would be Justin Timberlake. And he wears them well, I'd say. Shockingly enough, Travis Scott, who really likes pearls exploding all over his head. Bad Bunny, he likes them small, medium, kind of giving you a Yummy Video vibe. Or again, just drizzled all over his face. Another one would be Lil Nas X. And let me tell you this, you couldn't get any more obvious, in my opinion. There are so many signs with this one. It's like some of you need a legit history lesson or something. R.I.P. to the old Sam Smith, who these days likes to have pearls dangling from his ears. And again, guys, there were many signs. Another one would be Steven Tyler, who in 2026 is America's most favorite grandma. And shockingly enough, another one would be Youngblood. And with the images that I have discovered of him online, I would say that this one is obvious, and I couldn't imagine what he has gone through in this industry. And also, what are the odds of this? Youngblood is 28 and Steven Tyler is 78. What is going on here? Sadly enough, another one would be Post Malone. Seeing as where he started, I always kind of wondered how he ended up where he's at today. Haven't you? Some more would be Dennis Rodman, Tyler, the Creator, Little Uzi Vert, who just splatters them from head to toe, it seems. And of course, Lil Wayne. Drake would be another one, but I have to be honest.
So basically everybody, man.
When I saw him in pigtails, it all started to make sense to me. Doesn't it to you? Kanye West and Juice WRLD, which is pretty right in your face to me. And literally at that, as he had pearls dripping from his tongue. And again, as I stated before, it could be nothing, but why do we have articles lasting from 2020 to 2026? It's almost like the media really wants young men to hop on this trend. And they do tell you over and over again in articles who their targets are and why. But are you listening? Or maybe it's that they expect you and young boys to follow trends of activities they are interested in.
There's a deeper meaning. It's definitely sexual meaning.
Listen to this shocking information from this lab tech whistleblower. It will blow your mind like it did mine.
Would you believe that I have a lab tech that worked in an all-women's hospital in the United States who went to school for 4 years for parasitology, so she does have an understanding of parasites and what she is looking for. The results that she was finding in these women coming in with UTIs, urinary tract infections, was showing parasitic larvae. She was putting them in her report, and the doctor of the lab was removing them from the reports. So these women with urinary tract infections was never getting properly diagnosed in the United States. See, they're not allowed to tell you if you have parasites. No, the CDC and HHS does not allow that. Because if you actually found out what ailed you and got cured, got the proper treatment, you wouldn't need your doctor. You wouldn't need your big pharma pills anymore. She will be part of the documentary to blow the whistle on what the truth is. Parasites are very common, and most people have them. Some of the symptoms of parasites that most people don't know is gastrointestinal issues. So we're going to say things like IBS or IBD, Crohn's disease, colitis, appendicitis, cholecystitis or gallstones, kidney stones, thyroid issues, hyper and hypo, diabetes, cancer, brain fog, your heart rate fluctuations up or down, or both, your teeth breaking, your bones breaking easily, blood pressure. There are so many symptoms.
Did the Pentagon hide that the human body can regenerate itself in under 48 hours for 61 years? Insiders claim that in 1965, a classified research program inside the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, aka DARPA, confirmed something that would destroy the entire pharmaceutical industry overnight. Human tissue, including nerve cells, organ tissue, and spinal cord fibers, can fully regenerate when exposed to a precise electromagnetic frequency window between 7.83 Hz and the 14.1 Hz. The project was codenamed Operation Lazarus. They tested it on 214 soldiers with catastrophic battlefield injuries, burns, severe tendons, and shattered vertebrae. 94% of subjects showed complete tissue regeneration within 36 to 48 hours. Bone fractures healed in 4 days instead of 6 weeks. Nerve damage previously considered permanent reversed entirely, and 2 paraplegic soldiers regained full mobility within 11 days. The lead scientist, Dr. Robert O. Becker, later published fragments of this research in his book, The Body Electric, and, of course, was immediately stripped of all federal funding, blacklisted from every university, and erased from medical history. Here is what they classified. Your DNA would then not be a fixed code, but a receiver. Every strand of your DNA operates as an antenna. It receives and transmits electromagnetic information. When your body is exposed to the correct frequency, your DNA activates repair sequences that mainstream medicine says are impossible. The 7.83 Hertz, aka the Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's electromagnetic resonance, activates stem cell production. 10.5 Hertz triggers full body cellular regeneration, and the 14.1 Hertz repairs neurological damage and restores synaptic connections. Your body was designed to heal itself. They just turned off the signal. Why? Well, maybe because a cured patient is a customer lost. Remember, the global pharmaceutical industry generates $1.48 trillion every year. Every dollar depends on just one lie: that the human body cannot heal itself without chemical intervention with pills that create side effects. In other words, new diseases. If true, Operation Lazarus would then prove that this is false, already back in 1965. The claim is that this is not just a theory, but documented Pentagon research. Of course, Google or AI won't budge on this one. So, you let me know what you think. Could frequency healing be the future of medicine? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget who loves you, and I'll catch you in the next one.
You know, Tesla believed the universe worked off frequency and energy. This is probably true.
In the Appalachian Mountains, they call it the don't look at them, don't look at it entities. They call your name from the woods, mimicking someone that you know, making strange noises. These stories come from Scots, Irish, English folklore, German immigrants, and indigenous Appalachian beliefs. These things, they mimic people, and if you look at them, people disappear. But the indigenous people believe that they were forest spirits, trickster beings, or territorial entities.
Don't they call them mimics too? Isn't that something out of Appalachia?
Yes, did you see that video? The girl was in her barn at nighttime in Appalachia feeding like her cow or her pig. She hears a rustle. She pans up and it's her in the corner facing the wall. And she goes, and she's like backing up and running out.
She runs her car doesn't start.
All the comments are like, that's a mimic.
I think there's a rule with mimics. Like, you're not allowed to talk to them.
Oh my gosh, I'd say I
That's
rebuke
like
you in the name of
stuff, but-
Jesus.
Yeah.
This dude don't even know about Pangea.
One of the scariest things about being a Mexican child growing up in Mexico was the Jesus Christ statue for me. So let's talk about one of the creepiest and most bizarre moments in Mexican TV history, the Jesus Christ statue that cried blood. On July 25th, 2009, a woman in Tala, Jalisco claimed that her Jesus Christ statue started crying blood as she was taking her diabetic medication. According to her and her family, the statue cried blood for 6 consecutive days, prompting people from all over the city to see this as a miracle and visit the statue, with many of them claiming that they felt an overwhelming sense of emotion. This includes people fainting, crying, all of that type of stuff. Now, our favorite paranormal Mexican TV show, Extra Normal, decided to go over and check it out. And to prove that it was real, they took a blood sample, which shockingly turned out to be AB positive, proving that the blood was real. Now listen, I have many theories. I don't know if one of the family members was putting their blood on the statue, if someone is playing a prank on them, or who knows, maybe it is crying real blood. I don't know, I hope not. What I will say is that in the early 2000s, there was a huge wave of Jesus' face being found in tortillas, Guadalupe being found on like walls or something, or just Jesus statues moving out of nowhere. Either way, all of these things, including this story, just made me even more terrified of Jesus Christ as a kid. But what do you think? Is this real? Is this fake? Let me know. Let me know.
The question is he really dead in the first place? I really don't want to be that guy. The question is he really dead in the first place? Yeah, sure, he could be. Or, completely unrelated, 1000%, maybe this is leading up to a great conflict spoken of about 100 years ago, right? A third great conflict. Maybe this is leading up to this great conflict. We also just at the same time had the news come out saying that, Iran is going to try to take out the leader of the U.S. again. And you get what I'm saying. So what am I saying? Bookmark it. Something massive is going to take place. And this is just the beginning of that massive operation. Who knows what they're going to say? Well, Russia did it or Iran did it. But the numbers do not lie. You know that number above 8, then 11, the bottomless pit, of course, right? And all deception, this great deceiving coming from the bottomless pit. And then we have Apollo and his arch. And even right now, as I'm making this video, we have the FBI investigating this entire thing. We're going to hear some major things. There's going to be some major operation in the background that certain people are talking about that will not be picked up until a month or two later. But I guarantee you, this is all fitting together like a perfect puzzle. And I'll make a much longer video on YT tomorrow. Completely unrelated, not relevant whatsoever. This is a massive ritual for the full embodiment of that figure known as Apollo, Apollyon, Abaddon. You get it. If you don't believe this age, this Earth age is coming to an end, I don't know what to tell you. Let me know what you think below. Completely fine yesterday and gone. They say he's gone.
Have you seen this? If you shine a laser on Hindu sculptures, the laser will go right through the details of the sculpture. These temples are in the Karnataka region of India, and they don't really make a lot of sense. Because today we would use something like this fiber laser to do that. It is a very high-powered beam of light that is used for cutting and engraving rocks, pretty much stripping the atoms from the material. The result is something similar to what we see in a 900-year-old temple. And if we're covering one head to toe in these carvings, then we would probably use something like a carving robot at scale. Because to understand how they did it, we have to understand why they wanted to do it in the first place. Because Hindu temples are unique in the temple ecosystem. These were not places of congregation like cathedrals. In the spiritual sense, cathedrals are more like a spaceship for your consciousness, where a higher form of perception is manipulated using light and sound. Fun fact, they're designed upside down. This way gravity calculates the strongest angles. Since Hindu temples don't need a lot of space inside, they can be designed from the ground up, starting with the Naman. It's a fractal geometric procedure that can be used to calculate perfect east-west alignment. You can think of a Hindu temple more like a bridge between space and time. The alignment sets the frequency of the temple in time. That'll be important later. In space, Vastu Mandala sets the fractal pattern in space. Vedic architecture treats the temple as a literal being. It's a channel that entity can move through. In a way, it's like a computer chip that bridges the subatomic with the cosmic. The idea here is to translate frequency into form. And that begins with the floor plan. That geometry is the same geometry used in fighter jet antennas. The top of the Hindu temple is called the Shikara. A phased array antenna scans in all directions. Warships use it, same geometry. And inside, you see the geometry of a beam-forming antenna that focuses. Previous video, I showed how the force of magnetism scales. It has a shape. The harmonic scale used in the design of Teotihuacan. Satellite temples are often found in that same shape. And if you know the geometry to smash particles together, then perhaps biology could take advantage of all of these wave-shaping geometries. By using a medium like water, you provide a scaffolding for that to be possible. By studying cymatics, we understand that every frequency has corresponding geometry. Structured water is what your body is made of. Organic chemistry depends on this water. My invisible thought can make me go to the gym and build a body. And could consciousness without a body translate itself into the material world? Light provides the information. 3D space provides the position. Water then translates the flow into experience. Sanskrit texts that this is from are called the Agama Shastra. They explicitly say the temple's function is theophany, or the emergence of the divine into the world in a stable, localized form, which would make these the most advanced devices on Earth. This is temple science, and you can learn it if you want, because I teach it. Why? Our internal antennas are now in our external devices. That comes at a cost, and dials in consciousness for profit and efficiency. The internal antenna is why we're alive. By reconnecting, we can create a beautiful experience for generations.
That's insane what they did back then.
So, Congressman Lindsey Graham has just passed away due to a mysterious illness, but right off the rip, I feel like somebody's lying. Did Russia take him out? Now, you guys may find this timeline very interesting because he just recently, before he passed, went to a Ukrainian drone facility. And I posted this. This is a timeline of everything that happened. So first he visits the drone facility in Ukraine on July 10th. Then Russia actually strikes a drone facility the same day. Then Lindsey Graham dies suddenly on the same day. Coincidence? Reports say that Russia launched 12 missiles, including 6 ballistic missiles, along with 121 drones against Ukraine overnight. Now, pay attention. This part is important. Russia Defense Ministry says its forces targeted drone production facilities in Kyiv. So my question is, how did all this happen the same day? You fly back to America only to die with this mysterious illness. The timeline is way off. Now, here's another telltale sign. The next day after all this happens, Ukraine's prime minister resigns. Yuri Syrienko, who was the prime minister who just stepped down, was only the prime minister for a year, but before that, she was the minister of the economy, which she had a choppy past as well. So reports say that she was actually on the board as a beneficiary, diverting funds for certain programs, which was a conflict of interest. Did she get a nice little severance package to withhold information or whatever went down? Because she seems to know something and now she's just gone. And for a ritualistic cherry on top, you guys, Lindsey Graham was born July 9th, but died on July 11th. 9/11. They did it again. Make sure you guys hit up my YouTube, The Maverick Approach. I'm doing a bigger breakdown, and let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
So years ago, we had a witch that worked here. She would do spells and rituals in the haunt to help us. And she did a ceremony right in the middle of this room, and she used blood, dirt from a little girl's grave, I believe. She did something there to open, she said, open a portal to let our loved ones, our ancestors
Where did
come
she
in.
get the blood?
I don't know. I wasn't here, so I don't know. But I just know that it was here in the middle of the room.
To do a ritual here, it would be, it probably created something here. The oppression of it, probably something stuck.
So you don't think she was doing some sort of protection or anything of something?
Oh, yeah.
That was a bang.
That was loud. That bang was definitely confirming.
We are already halfway through 2026, and the biggest space events of the entire year still haven't happened yet. On August the 12th, there's going to be a total solar eclipse where day turns into night over Iceland and northern Spain, which is actually going to be the first one in Europe since 1999. On that same exact night, the Perseid meteor shower is going to peak with no moon in the sky, so it's going to be the best one that we have had in over a decade, and everybody is going to be able to see that one. Happening on August the 28th, there's going to be a lunar eclipse that turns the moon almost completely red, and it's going to be best seen across all of North and South America. On October the 4th, Saturn is going to be at its closest and brightest of the entire year, and the rings are finally going to start tilting back open so you can actually see them again. November 18th, the Leonids peak, and those are the meteors that are famous for fireballs bright enough to light up the entire sky. December 13th into the 14th, the Geminids are going to hit 150 per hour, which makes it the strongest meteor shower of the entire year.
On the night of December 13th into the morning of the 14th, Earth is going to witness a beautiful meteor shower. One of the best ones I find of all year.
2026 then ends on Christmas Eve with the biggest, closest supermoon that we have seen all year long. I am going to remind you before every single one of these, so make sure you go ahead and add me now if you want to get the reminder and not miss it.
In 2024, 23-year-old Brazilian snowboarder Claudia Del Albuquerque Calada ate a small portion of canned soup bought from a supermarket, and about 2 weeks later, she developed dizziness, blurred double vision, and difficulty breathing. Within 24 hours, she was completely paralyzed from the neck down and on a ventilator. Doctors eventually diagnosed foodborne botulism from a specific toxin, most likely due to the soup being improperly stored. She survived, but remained tetraplegic for months, with U.S. hospital bills climbing towards $2 million.
Not just scary, but also so sad. How's this doing
If
better?
you flip the coordinates for the Miami Mall, it takes you to Antarctica.
Whoa.
So I flipped those and made a video about it and got like 15 million views on it or something. And it just kind of took off after that.
I didn't know that. So potential portal then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, potential portal.
Interesting. Yeah, because there's a lot of theories on Antarctica that it's a portal or an inner civilization. I've heard that.
And then Admiral Byrd said that he found the inner civilization there. So, yeah.
And a lot of people try to remote view it and they can't access it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
like
cool.
if you talk to multiple remote viewers, they'll say they get blocked off.
The ice wall blocks them.
I don't know if it's the ice wall or some people have said there's anti-remote viewing teams that will push you out.
Wow. They don't want us to see something there.
Yeah. Certain bases too.
I mean, so many people agree on one thing, not to touch it. There's something going on.
Something. What do we all agree on?
Nothing. ever at all, except Antarctica. So, yeah.
This is another beautiful shot of Chicago Water Tower. Just how much of a
fantastic.
castle it looks like. I mean, nobody would think if I were to take this, cover up the bottom half of this and man on the street interview, what do you think this building is? Nobody would guess water tower unless they knew. I mean, unless they knew this was Chicago Water Tower, they'd guess, is this some medieval castle tower in England or something like this? For them, it's a Chicago, and it was built in, again, only 1 year. And Chicago has some of the harshest winters in the world. So really,
couldn't build that in a year now.
No, you couldn't even level the foundation. I mean, most modern, single family houses take about, anywhere between 8 to 12 months to build. So, I mean, just think of that. Like, we couldn't even level the foundation for a building like this in a year's time today. It would take several years. Could we even build it to that scale, that quality, that detail? And I mean, that level of durability, I mean, keep in mind, they said this survived a massive inferno.
About my thumb. Wow. My thumb is a perfectly good thumb, by the way. It's running at what voltage? Minus 25 millivolts. Now I hit it with a hammer and I destroy some cells in my thumb. What's going to happen is that the thumb's immediately going to go to minus 50 millivolts. And minus 50 millivolts causes the arterioles to dilate. And the reason that happens, of course, is we need the raw materials dumped at the curb there, so to speak, so that we can rebuild the cells we destroyed with the hammer. Well, when those capillaries dilate, we get all the signs we normally call inflammation. We have redness, we have swelling, we have heat, we have a pulsing pain, and it makes you say bad words. So my thumb gets busy and it makes new cells, it replaces those I smashed with a hammer, it goes back to minus 25 millivolts, and I'm a happy camper. But on the other hand, if when I smash my thumb, if the power supply going to the thumb is inadequate to provide the minus 50 millivolts I need to make new cells, then my thumb won't heal, and I'm stuck in chronic disease. You see that? So I can take all the pills I want, I can do all the surgery I want on the thumb, but it'll never get well until I do what? Insert enough electrons to get me up to minus 50 millivolts.
Kangen water, 9.5.
You go to Essentia, and it's positive. Living water, negative. This is how we can raise voltage in our body every single day, by drinking living water.
So AI has split the world into 4 species, and I know that sounds crazy, but I don't make the rules, okay? So species 1 is the feed. It might be you. It's 99% of the world. These are the ones who use free tools. Okay, that's quite literally the harvesting contract. It's the life support for these AI models. Then you have species 2, which is the operators. These are the few who have moved their data off the cloud. Their thoughts are no longer being tracked in real time like the rest of you guys. And you have agents. Number 3, these are non-human species. These ones own their own wallets. They actually hire other AIs. They optimize all day. They never sleep. And then you have species 4. Those are the outliers. These ones are the unpredictability group. These are the ones that are providing the unlikely. These do not use AI to think. Okay. The old division before was money. And I think the new division moving forward is now going to be incentive. So buckle up, you guys. We're just living in a new world.
Did you know that there's a hidden pyramid in Italy and it's older than the Romans? Welcome back to episode 48 of Ancient Site Sunday. I'm Raven, an archaeologist. Follow to never miss a weekly adventure. Today we're exploring the Etruscan pyramid of Bomarzo. Hidden in the woods near the town of Bomarzo, this mysterious monument dates back to roughly the 7th or 6th century BCE and is believed to have been created by the Etruscans, who were a powerful civilization that dominated much of central Italy before the rise of the Roman Republic Republic, and then the Roman Empire. What's crazy is that it might first have been constructed by the Rinaldonian civilization, who lived in the area between 4000 and 2000 BCE. Despite the name, the Pyramid of Bomarzo isn't actually a traditional pyramid in the sense of what we imagine with that word, like the Great Pyramids of Giza or Teotihuacan. It's actually a massive block of volcanic Peperino stone carved into a stepped monument with platforms, channels, and steep staircases leading upward toward a flat altar-like surface. The actual purpose of the pyramid is still not known, but archaeologists believe it may have been used for rituals and sacrifices connected to the ancient Etruscan religion, maybe for bountiful harvests or fertility. One of the most intriguing details is the series of carved gutters running across the stone. Some researchers think these channels were designed to carry liquids, possibly water, wine, or even the blood of sacrificed animals used in ceremonies performed by Etruscan priests. The pyramid is also carefully oriented towards the northwest, the direction in which the Etruscans believed the gods of the underworld lived. It is also aligned with celestial events, so another theory is that the pyramid was used for astronomical observation or was connected to religious rituals that corresponded to the seasons or agriculture. The Etruscans were deeply religious people and had gods and goddesses for every aspect of their lives. For them, natural settings like this forest or mountains and springs were sacred spaces for religious rituals. So it makes sense that a monument like this would have been found in such a location and would have been used by the Etruscans. The pyramid was discovered in 1991, but it remained largely hidden by dense vegetation until 2008, when it was cleared away properly by local residents to help bring the monument back into public view. Let me know where you want to go next week down in the comments.
It's just considered a conspiracy to even imagine what was really happening. I think what was happening was so terrible that you didn't want to know.
So the families who ran the reset. So if these buildings required knowledge and resources we can't account for, who ended up with the keys? Because power doesn't just vanish, it transfers. And in the late 1800s, power consolidated under a handful of family names. So fast, it feels less like an economic trend and more like a corporate takeover of an entire civilization. Think about the timeline. Within a single generation, roughly 1870 to 1900, you see the Rockefellers, Morgans, Carnegies and Rothschilds rise to absolute dominance in banking, railroads and heavy industry. These weren't slow generational climbs, they were vertical ascents. John D. Rockefeller went from a bookkeeper to controlling 90% of the world's oil refining in about 20 years. How does that happen without some sort of inherited advantage? It's as if they gained access to capital that didn't exist on paper before them, to infrastructure that was already partially built, and to legal frameworks that appeared almost overnight to protect their new holdings. And then there are the symbols, the silent language of power. The double-headed eagle, a prominent feature on many old Tartarian maps, doesn't fade away. It starts appearing everywhere in the New Order. It's on the seals of newly powerful institutions, the crests of banks and railroads. These families controlled everything. It's not just once or twice, it's a consistent pattern. Why would these new industrialists adopt an old world imperial symbol unless they saw themselves as the successors to that empire? The patient records from this era tell another strange story. Technologies for electricity, communication and transportation are suddenly invented in the 1880s and 1890s, but they appear fully formed. There's no documented period of trial and error, no public development. It's like the knowledge base for these inventions already existed and the patents were just the legal mechanism to claim ownership over pre-existing technology.
What would you do if I told you there is an ancient pyramid in Italy that almost everyone misses because it just looks like another rock? Because there is, and this is how to find it. So imagine you're hiking in Italy, right? You're walking through the forest and then you spot a rock. But as you get closer, you realize that there are steps that are carved into this rock and they're leading up to a platform. And naturally, you wonder, what the hell is this? Well, it turns out the Etruscans, who were an ancient indigenous group who lived in Italy 2,000 years ago, built it. And it's suspected that they used it for a whole bunch of ancient rituals, like offers to the gods of the underworld and stuff like that. But up until the 90s, this place was actually completely lost in the woods. No one knew about it. Even still today, it's not ticketed or anything. You can just go and explore it. It's really close to the town of Bomarzo, but I'll do you one better. If you share this post to the Mio app, it will automatically pin the location of the pyramid to your own travel map. And by the way, that works for any post on TikTok or Instagram. And most importantly, the name of this pyramid is the Etruscan Pyramid of Bomarzo.
The actual population of Earth, what do you think an NPC is, and what percentage of the population falls into that category?
Here's the raw truth.
The official 8.3 billion figure is bullshit. China's one-child policy was extremely effective for decades. When you combine that with declining birth rates across the developed world, urbanization, pollution, and actual death rates, the real population is significantly lower. My best estimate is that we're looking at somewhere between 5.5 and 6.8 billion people on Earth right now, possibly even lower. The numbers have been padded for a long time to push climate agendas, resource control, taxation, and social engineering. What is an NPC? An NPC is a person who lacks a fully embodied soul or higher consciousness. They run almost entirely on societal programming, instincts, and external scripts. They follow trends, consume, obey, and rarely, if ever, genuinely question reality or exhibit true originality or sovereign thought. They are background characters in this realm. What percentage? I believe 70 to 85% of the current population falls into this category. Only a minority of people appear to have the full spark, that deep inner awareness, questioning nature, and sovereign will. The control system thrives on a high NPC population because they're far easier to program, herd, and farm energetically. That's my direct, unchained take.
This is a witch window. Houses used to have lore. Now they have gray flooring and a runway of can lights. I am Lily. I'm an interior designer, and every weird thing in a house used to have a reason. Witch windows are diagonal windows on old Vermont farmhouses. The lore is that witches couldn't fly through tilted glass. Paint blue porch ceilings were painted blue-green because people believed the color kept spirits or haints away. Paint color with a job, imagine. Coffin corners are little staircase niches that supposedly helped people turn a coffin around in a tight landing. Maybe true, maybe folklore. People used to hide shoes, bottles, and little objects inside walls and chimneys for protection, which is both deeply weird and honestly kind of beautiful. That's what I mean by lore. Houses used to have stories in the walls. Now we're building blueprints off of Etsy and calling it custom.
On today's episode of Cryptids Caught on Camera, we have a sighting of Dogman. On a number of occasions, this woman would wake up and find all of her chickens dead. And I think we caught the culprit on camera. Check it out.
Vou ver que se o galinha tudo certo. Opa. Opa.
Ew.
Because what is that? That is horrifying. If you don't know, Dogman is this creature with a human body and a wolf or dog-like head with glowing eyes. It howls, it sounds like a human screaming. And it's very famous in Michigan and Wisconsin lore. To me, that doesn't look like a wolf or a bear, okay? So what is that?
AI took over the world hundreds of years ago. Your history is all AI. Photoshop has been around for hundreds of years, through various means. Photos themselves are much older than we are told. At least 200 years. And I don't believe the first Photoshop is in 1857 like they say. The Mona Lisa was printed. It wasn't painted. Renaissance paintings like the Mona Lisa were made with 2-micron paint. 30 to 50 microns is the average today. It was perfectly layered and couldn't be replicated today. Yet we're supposed to believe that Da Vinci made it with mortar and pestle paints. Nothing today can be compared to what was being made in 1434 by Jan van Eyck. The reflection in the background is perfectly displaying the reversed image. No one can replicate this level of detail. This is a print, a laser print. Photoshop was also done through etching. We have all been getting catfished. How much of the history has been etched away? These are the original filters. Cartoon filter, whitewash filter, sepia, grayscale. Supposedly there were no Civil War photos in battle, but plenty right before. And it doesn't stop with people. Looks like a lively city block, huh? Those people are painted in. This is in the New York Public Library. You can see they're painted in if you look closely. That horse was never there. You can see they removed people from this one. Their legs are still there. I'm sure many of you know about the Vanilla Sky photos. What a terrible crop job there. They edit out the skies and remove buildings. The sky is commonly cropped out poorly. This whole building is superimposed onto this block. Yet they have been able to solve overexposure in the skies since 1867 with the collodion process. Oops, actually 1857. Yet we get vanilla skies even into the 20th century. Maybe this is why. Even in film we have layering. Half the people aren't even paying attention to this. History is worse than chicks with BBLs and filters. And don't get me started on the sculptures. I've actually been to this place too. The name of this piece is called Deception. It's made out of a block of marble. It's a fishnet made out of a block of marble, and he made it in secrecy. More laser technology that the mutants took over after the reset. That slightly raised pinky causing that muscle flex being captured perfectly like that. The Renaissance was a reset. None of these artists existed. The technology was usurped and used to whitewash the history. And there was a hard reset between 1776 and the Civil War. AI is the opposite of Yah. It's really AI. AI has existed since ever. It is a program that is being uploaded through organic AI, aka human.
This is 476,000 years old, so this predates Homo sapiens. And I think that's one of the major paradigms, if you like, that we have regarding our past that simply doesn't make sense in light of new evidence. And
what is that evidence that they found of wood construction from far longer than they thought?
Yeah, this is the Colombo structure, and this is something I talk about a lot in my videos because I think it's a crazy find, and I don't understand why it's not kicking up more of a fuss. Like, if I'm the guy that has to kick up the fuss about it, then I'll be that guy because basically the idea has always been that humans were nomadic hunter-gatherers that moved with the seasons and lived in caves or just kind of walked around for all of our history until the Neolithic Revolution, the invention of agriculture, 12,000 years ago. And no earlier than that did we ever settle down and live in permanent settlements. But the Colombo structure was something they found a few years ago in modern-day Zambia. And what it is these pieces of wood, and I'll get to the point about why this wood has survived in a minute, because obviously, wood surviving this long is crazy. But there you go. Yeah, so the Colombo structure is these pieces of wood that have been joined together deliberately, cut in notches and connected together, tapered and secured at right angles. And they think it was either a kind of raised walkway, like a kind of raised platform, or a house, a dwelling, a hut, some kind of structure. And why this is so paradigm shifting is because not only does this kind of scream that humans potentially lived in permanent settlement. Sorry, I haven't even said this. This is 476,000 years old. So this predates Homo sapiens. What they attribute it to is Homo heidelbergensis, who's our last common ancestor with Neanderthals. So they're kind of the human species that came before Homo sapiens. So I guess you're right. It could have been Homo sapiens, and we're just not sure how old we are.
There was a murder-suicide right after Katrina. A lot of people call him the Katrina Cannibal. This couple, they rode out the storm. They got 5 minutes of fame on CNN. They said they loved New Orleans and they were going to rebuild and never leave. A year after the storm, we were still under martial law. We're still under curfew. Recreational drugs are pouring in. He had 2 tours in Iraq and Afghan, so PTSD was already a part of his life. And that sets the tone. Things were fine at first, but they rapidly got far worse. And they started fighting and breaking up and getting back together, all while the city was deteriorating. So they get kicked out of their apartment. She went to get a lease, only in her name, causing another fight. After all, it was his money, he said. Landlord said, look, I don't want to get in the middle of this. Y'all work it out. 12, 13 days later, he heard back from the cops who said that they just found his tenant, Zachary Bowen, dead, who had jumped off the top of a nearby hotel. A note said, this is no accident. I had to take a life of the one that I took. If you send a patrol car to 826 North Rampart, you will find the corpse of my girlfriend, Addie, cooking on the stove and chilling in the fridge. Her head was boiling in one pot. Her hands and feet were in another. Her arms and legs had been shoved in the broiler pan for nearly 13 days, set on slow cook, but he would turn it up, turn it down, add spices.
Add spices?
He was allegedly masking the smell. He did not eat her. There was an autopsy report in the newspaper that said there were no human remains in his stomach. However, a lot of tours of town will call him the Katrina Cannibal.
You do have a tragic scene that happens in this haunted museum that you've turned it into. Are they saying things like you're exploiting what happened within that house?
That's one thing that I've heard.
But you even kept a stove?
10 years of tenants have lived up there and ate out of that stove and used that fridge.
And that was after the murder?
After the murder. Okay. Same oven. I, on the other hand, have not plugged back in the stove. There's no gas coming to it or the fridge. And they've turned into memorials that we give money and donate to stop domestic violence.
What's a piece of history only you know because it was passed down in your family, but not in the history books? My great-grandmother was the first one in the country to know World War I was over. She took the call from France and patched it to DC for the president. Yo, that's crazy. My great-great-grandfather watched Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, build a bridge underwater. Days later, he came back and watched Smith claim he could walk on water. walked on the bridge he built. Yeah, this man was a con artist. Rice Krispie treats were originally invented by a black woman. She would make them for her grandkids to take to school and for her coworkers. That woman was my great-grandmother. Yo, that's crazy if true. Wow. My aunt saved so many people's lives by altering telegrams during World War II while she worked at the post office in Romania. Entire villages were saved by redirecting troops. Bro, she's a real one. I have a massive cave under my house with cave paintings that only my family know about. Bro, if this is true, you gotta delete this comment, bro. Yeah, they're coming after you. Al Capone put my great-grandfather through medical school. He was one of his favorite bartenders/servers, and he'd get tipped with $100 bills. Yo, imagine thanking Al Capone during your graduation speech. That's crazy. And lastly, my great-grandparent John farted in 1903. Be sure to comment yours below, and thank you for watching.
Did you know one of the oldest stone circles in the world is hiding in the Portuguese countryside? And it's 3,000 years older than Stonehenge. Welcome to episode 44 of Ancient Site Sunday. I'm Raven, an archaeologist taking you around the world every week, and today we're exploring the Almendras cromlech. Located near the city of Évora, this massive megalithic complex dates back to as early as 6000 BCE. The site is made up of around 95 standing stones arranged in circles and oval shapes along a gentle hillside. Some of these stones stand several meters tall, while others are smaller, grouped together in carefully planned formations that evolved over time. What makes Almendras so fascinating is that it wasn't built all at once. It was constructed in multiple phases over thousands of years, starting with concentric circles in the early Neolithic, then expanding into elliptical layouts in later periods. This tells us that generation after generation returned to this place and reshaped it as their beliefs, culture, and needs evolved. And some of those beliefs likely had to do with the sky. Many of the stones are aligned with the sun, particularly the equinoxes, and nearby a 4.5 meter tall standing stone known as the Almendras menhir lines up with the cromlech and points towards sunrise during the winter solstice. Some stones even have carvings, including lines, circles, or solar discs, and symbols that may have held ritual or symbolic meaning. Unfortunately, you can no longer go inside the cromlech today. This is a photo of me back when I visited it in 2019. Some stones may actually represent people or spiritual human-type beings. You can look at the top of this one here and sort of make out some anthropomorphic features at least. We don't know exactly what the site was used for, but most archaeologists agree it likely had a ceremonial or astronomical purpose, possibly linked to seasonal cycles, agriculture, or spiritual practice. The site was hidden beneath vegetation for centuries before being rediscovered in 1966. Since then, it has been carefully studied and the stones partially re-erected in their original bases. Today, the Almendras cromlech is one of the largest and most important megalithic sites in Europe, offering us a rare glimpse into how prehistoric communities understood time, nature, and their place in the world.
Angel's trumpet doesn't exist in the wild anymore. It's been extinct for centuries. It only exists because humans have kept cultivating it, and that's very interesting because it's poisonous. Welcome to the Witch's Apothecary, where perfumery meets folk magic. Angel's trumpet blooms at night. It's heavily fragrant after dark to attract moth pollinators. Its smell is heady and intoxicating. It's a white, creamy narcotic like tuberose and gardenia, but with a green, almost medicinal edge. It shares tropane alkaloids with the closely related datura, giving both of them that sort of sinister poison garden quality to them that's very appealing about dark florals. The flower doesn't yield a natural absolute commercially. It's too delicate and the scent degrades quickly after harvesting. So perfumers reconstruct it using white musks, indolic jasmine, creamy heliotrope, and sometimes a touch of tobacco to give it that lush, intoxicating quality. Heretic has a perfume called Angel's Trumpet, which is one of my favorites by them, and it seems to be one of their most popular. It's part of their nocturnal collection, centered around night-blooming flowers, and all of them are so different in the best way than any other florals that I've tried. Angel's Trumpet is Brugmansia, and Devil's Trumpet is Datura. They're easy to confuse because they're in the same family and they're similarly dangerous. Angel's trumpet flowers hang downward and Devil's trumpet flowers point upward, like a trumpet sounding from below. They're both in the nightshade family, like many other poisonous plants, including belladonna. Like belladonna, Angel's trumpet contains atropine, scopolamine, and hyoscyamine. In modern medicine, these compounds became anesthetics and antispasmodics. In traditional Andean shamanism, Angel's trumpet was used for divination and rituals. One account describes the experience as a powerful trance with violent and unpleasant effects. This was a highly requested flower, and I absolutely see why. It's beautiful, extinct in the wild, kept alive entirely by human intent, blooms only at night, and named after angels, which are not historically gentle creatures. Follow for more perfume and magic.
Have you guys seen this ghost photo taken at El Paso High School in Texas? I get emails sent to me all the time about haunted things that's happened to people, and this one took place at El Paso High School, and in the first, correspondence, she acted like I should know about this place, but I'd never heard of it before. So I looked into it, and oh my gosh, this place is super hella haunted. A really cool place. It's still a school today. It had a basement that was used as a morgue during the Spanish flu and during the war and all this stuff. It's all kinds of stuff. So there's the story of this lady in white that apparently back in 1922, she unalived herself and then jumped out of the window. Well, now she haunts the place and people get her in photos all of the time like this one. So this is the photo, how it was actually posted when somebody took the photo or whatever, but I tilted it to make it more where it's actually you're looking in the window, and I lightened it, and then I got this. What the hell? You can see how she's kind of wispy right here. You can see her tiny waist and her face, and if you zoom in on that, it looks like she's screaming, okay? And that's important for the story. But before that, let me show you another famous ghost photo from there. This is a class photo that was taken in 1985, and they said that they don't know who the hell this is. This is so scary because to me, it looks exactly like the photo of the ghost girl in the other one, right? This one looks very much like this.
I've been told that we are the most advanced civilization to ever walk this world, and that all these pyramids, monuments, and temples were just made by primitive people, worshipping primitive gods. But I believe the case can be made quite easily, showing a much different picture. And in fact, we are the primitive ones, living on the ruins of a post-apocalyptic time. And we built and inherited right on top of this massive energy grid, this massive computer of the old world. Just look at these ancient buildings and structures, what's left of them. The ruins laid out exactly like circuitry. Everything in the old world was built with such precision and purpose, just like a motherboard, harnessing and amplifying and distributing the free energy all around us. Parts of that can still be found hidden in plain sight. Much like the star forts, these buildings were technology, and that technology was everywhere. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
The thing what we fall in love with most are eyes. Because you don't see anybody falling in love with anything that doesn't have eyes. Think about it. And in Asia, they say eyes are the gateway to the soul.
I believe that because I saw something saying why do we love dogs so much? Why do we connect? Why do we think they're so cute? Mm-hmm. And it's because their eyes are the most human in the sense that the whites of their eyes is very visible like human beings. So that's why we kind of sympathize and connect with them so much.
It shows so much emotion.
Mm-hmm. Their eyes do.
Oh my god, wait. You know what happened recently? Literally yesterday.
What?
So we were having a fam jam. We had my uncle's newborn baby. She's not newborn, sorry. She's maybe a year or two old.
Aww.
She can start talking. She can speak a little bit. She said, oh look, Diego, my dog died. Diego died. And she doesn't even know the names of the dogs. But she said, Diego. She's pointing to the corner. Aww. Django, my other dog, is on the other side. It's like she saw Diego's spirit or something.
She did. She definitely did.
My sister's like, what the heck?
What the heck?
Yeah.
Through the administration of specific substances, we gain control of the Hollywood stars.
Like through prescription drugs?
No.
Illegal drugs?
No. Without getting into too much detail, the substance causes a slow deterioration of neurological function, causing the subject to slowly fade into a schizophrenic bipolar state.
Why would your group do such a thing?
We do it to gain control over the money and finances of Hollywood. Hollywood is much like a commodity. The talent is a commodity, like oil is a commodity that needs to be controlled.
I don't understand. Wouldn't it be more profitable from your group's perspective to have a healthy entertainer working in?
Not really. Once an entertainer has reached a certain level of profitability, they fall out of that profitability zone. They're worth more if they do crazy things and if they eventually die in a crazy extreme manner. The group is made up of 5 high-profile Hollywood individuals and 20 lower individuals in the group who unwittingly do the work of the group without even knowing they're involved in the group.
How is that possible?
To understand this, you have to understand Hollywood and how desperate people are to be famous. I was approached by a high-profile agent because of my connections with my family, a high-profile Hollywood family. I was asked to manage a roster of high-profile celebrities.
So why blow the whistle?
Due to all the publicity that the Queens are generating, presently my position in the group is in jeopardy and my life is threatened.
Well, why the mask?
Revealing my identity would put innocent people at risk.
Why not tell your story to CNN or some other major network?
The arms of the group stretch deep into the mainstream media. The story would never reach the light of day if I went through CNN or ABC.
Okay, let's talk about which celebrities your group has taken control of.
Living ones or dead ones?
Okay, let's start with the dead ones.
Michael Jackson, Anna Nicole Smith, Heath Ledger, River Phoenix. He was one of my first. As for celebrities that are presently alive and have been administered the substance, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Joe Rogan, Jim Carrey, Mel Gibson, just to name a few.
So what you're saying is we can expect more bizarre behavior from these celebrities?
Yes, the substance has a immediate response in some people or can incubate in the brain for up to 3 years.
Okay, so what is this substance?
Like I said before the interview, there are certain things I will not discuss, but it is very real and very fatal.
Well, so how do you administer the substance?
The substance is admitted through a chain of food service workers who unwittingly administer the substance at high-profile celebrity events and movie sets.
Do you feel guilty for what you've done?
Yes, I feel guilty.
What would you do if I told you the exact spot Julius Caesar was assassinated is now run by 150 cats? Right in the middle of Rome, there is a sunken square where in 44 BC, Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times by his own senators. For almost 2,000 years, this site was buried under the city until Mussolini got it dug up in 1929. And the cats moved in almost immediately. The ruins sit below street level, so there's no traffic, no dogs, just sun-warmed ancient stones. Even Italy's most famous actress Anna Magani used to slip out of the theatre next door in between scenes to go and feed them. Today, around 150 cats live in the ruins full time with their own volunteer sanctuary, and they can never be evicted because in 2001, Rome officially declared them as part of the city's heritage. You can even symbolically adopt one. It's called adoption by a distance, and you can pick out the one you want and you'll get a certificate. Now, I don't want you to forget about this place, so send this video to the Mio app that my friends and I made, so it will pin this location and everything I've said about it onto a map for you, and that works for any TikTok or Instagram post. And if you're wondering where this is, it's the Lago di Torre Argentina, right in the center of Rome.